back with the Wandering Canucks, and we have wandered down to High River, Alberta, small town about 25-minute drive south of the Calgary city limits. Ahead of us you'll see the entranceway to the George Lane Memorial Park. George Lane is a famous pioneer rancher from the area. The park is a memorial to him, and he was one of the founding fathers of the great famous Calgary Stampede. The history in High River goes back to about 1790, where the first reports were that the Northwest Company fur traders were in the area. In 1800, it was reported that David Thompson, famous fur trader and explorer, camped in the area. In the 1800s, the area became known as Fort Spitzy and had a bit of a nasty reputation because of disreputable traders and the whiskey trade. In about 1880, a small community formed here that became known as the Crossing. And it was a low spot in the river that made it very easy to cross. It was the Spitzy Crossing. The town then became known as Fort Spitzy. It was renamed in the early 1900s to High River. The high was because of the high cottonwood trees, not the fact that the river was high and would routinely flood. Now, across the road here, we have the Museum of the Highwood. It's actually the original old train station, and it was built from sandstone that was salvaged from a Calgary railway station many years ago. Some of the stones were also used to build the Clarisholm railway station. Just to the south of it is an old rail car, a dining car called the Whistle Stop Cafe, and it has been refurbished, and it's a nice place to come for some nice lunches. Now, further down the street here, we'll see if we can get it. You might see the sign, Wales. That's the old Wales Theatre. One of the neat things about High River, trying to preserve their culture, their Western heritage, is you will see in the town that they have 16 wall murals on different buildings. And here's one that's a tribute to the heritage of the chuck wagon drivers that have come in from this area. We have Ron Glass, Lloyd Nelson, Hank Willard, and Tom Glass. It's also interesting that they have preserved a lot of the old buildings in the town. This one is now the CIBC. So if you're into old architecture, old buildings, preservation, history, this town has a lot. Looking back down the street here, we have a couple of nice little coffee shops. One is called Colossi's, fresh baked goods, good coffee. Next to it is Evelyn's Diner. Evelyn's Diner is like a 1950s diner, all homemade food. Menu changes from day to day. Set up like an old soda fountain with the red upholstered booths. Music you can pick off the wall and put your quarter in and play off the machine. And for the kids, there's a little railway train and track that's been elevated around near the ceiling that occasionally they'll let run. Now we'll carry on our little walk. Here's another preserved building. And we'll walk up towards 3rd Avenue, which is the main downtown street. The town has undergone extensive renovations and revitalizations after a major flood in 2013. It resulted in about 90% of the town being underwater. The majority of the buildings were not usable without extensive work being done on them to refurbish them. As a result, we have a beautiful little downtown, lots of new sidewalks, newly designed parking areas. They've done a really good job on it. Across the street here is the Royal Bank. And one thing I love about this is they have preserved the old sandstone wall from a previous building. And set above the little plaque is the dating stone of 1893. As we walk further down the street, there's some interesting little bits here that are unique, one-of-a-kind shops. We have the Daily Mail showing up here. Now the Daily Mail is a barbershop. And my understanding is you can also have a little drink there, so it's both a bar as well as a barbershop. Now how unique is that? Further down, we have Rio Vista. If anyone likes Mexican food, that is apparently a great little place to go. And next to them, we have Keto Clutch. Anybody who likes gluten-free treats, eats keto, they've got snacks, they do lunches, they're open 5 days a week, closed on Sunday and Monday if that's interesting to you. And across the street, oh, there's one of our murals that celebrates the involvement in the Confederate, or the World War II Air Force training of cadets. And that's part of the heritage. The airport was just north of the city. Anyone who's a fan of the CBC show Heartland, here's Maggie's Diner. And every once in a while our main street gets turned into a bit of a film studio, and they'll film some more. Next to that is the Bradley Building, dated 1902. They've really done a good job preserving the Western heritage in here. Here's the old McLeod Block, another turn-of-the-century building that has been preserved. So it's nice to see that some of the heritage, the Western history, the storefronts have been preserved. Every year we have the annual Weedic Days, another pioneer that helped open up the area. Associated with Weedic Days is the famous Little Britches Rodeo. This is for 2 to 16-year-olds. And boy, oh boy, you want fun, come and watch the sheep busting when they put these kids on the backs of the sheep and let them ride around. What a great, great day. There's also a big parade that goes through town. Another little tidbit of history. This is the home of one of our former prime ministers. Prime Minister Joe Clark grew up in High River. So, for anyone who's interested in a really nice little day trip out of Calgary, not too far, good shopping, good restaurants, fun, lots of Western history, why don't you come down and visit High River? Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you've learned something. Hope to see you down here in High River. It's the Wandering Canucks signing out.